Hello everyone, it's Atharv Varshney, and in this video I'm going to complete full HTML tutorial into one video. So this can be around 1 hour long. So by following this course, you'll be able to start with CSS and JavaScript. And again, you cannot be like fully understand HTML from a single video. You need to practice and practice more. So this course will give you a full guide how to continue with HTML and then to CSS. And my further videos will be going on to CSS and JavaScript respectively. So let us begin. So to start with this tutorial, I'm going to tell you the two parts of the website. So the part one is front end and part two is back end. So front end is the part which user interacts with, and it is also called the client side, and as it runs on the client's computer or the user's computer. And backend runs on the server, so it is called server side, and it is not directly accessed by the user. User interacts with the front end, and front end further interacts with the backend. Frontend contains some interactive elements like tables, buttons, and forms and other things. And backend doesn't contains all those. It is indirectly accessed by the user. The main objectives of a front-end developer are responsiveness and performance. Whereas in the backend, the main objectives are handling the user data and storing it somewhere, or and assessing the speed of the app. So backend just takes the data from the user or from the front end and stores in the database or other things. And also some computational works is also done on the server side or the backend. So the languages used for front end are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So these are the basic three languages which are required for all websites. Now for creating front end, there are various frameworks or libraries. So they help us to create more complex UI or user interface more easily. Some of those are React, Angular, and Vue. These three are some frameworks. Actually, React is not a framework, it is a library, but that is a entirely different discussion. Most popular framework or library is React.js. React.js helps us to display more complex UI in a simpler manner and also increase the speed of the website, the loading speed and the interaction speed as well. So these three basically uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript only, and it helps us to create some UI more easily. And in this course, I'm going to tell you HTML in detail, and my further courses will talk about CSS and JavaScript as well. Backend main languages are Node.js, Python, Java, PHP, even C++, and there are tons of languages for backend as well, but these are some main languages. So we are not going to be focusing on backend right now. We are going to be focusing on front end and majorly HTML. So now we have seen the difference between front end and back end. In front end, there are three languages: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML is the basic structure of a website. You can understand it like the skeleton of a human body. And CSS is the beauty of the website. It beautifies the website and makes the website look good. And JavaScript is the brain of the website. It contains all the interactions of a user, like a button click, form submit, and sending of data from the front end to the back end and further to the database. All this is handled by JavaScript. So JavaScript is a language, programming language, whereas HTML and CSS are not. HTML is a markup language and CSS is a styling language. So these are two not considered like programming languages, but JavaScript is a programming language. HTML is the skeleton of a website, or like you can understand the skeleton of a body, and CSS is the beauty. You can understand it like the skin and the beauty features of a human body, and JavaScript is the brain, which controls everything of a human body or the website. So this was the three languages or the tech stack of front end. And backend have their different tech stack. We are not going to be discussing about that here. So now let us see how a website works. For example, you are sitting on your computer and you type www.youtube.com. Then the website of YouTube appears almost immediately. So how does that work? So there are two computers involved in this. First one is the client computer, which is your computer, And the second one is server computer, which is there in big data centers. So the client computer sends a request to the server computer, and server computer sends a response back to the client computer. So let us see how all of this works. For example, you type www.youtube.com, then your client side computer is making a request to the DNS server, and DNS servers are basically located everywhere in the globe on different locations. So you make a request to the DNS server. It checks all the URLs which you have entered. In our case, it is youtube.com, and it will match the corresponding URL, which is youtube.com, and will give us the corresponding IP address back to our client computer. So what is IP address? So that is a unique key or a unique string, which you can understand as text. So unique text, which is used for identification of all the computers which are using the internet or the internet protocol. So your computer also has an IP address. IP address is basically there for identifying different computers on the internet web. So when you get the IP address of youtube.com, that is the IP address of the server computer, which is there in big data centers, on which the main YouTube website is hosted. So now when the browser of your client computer gets the response from the DNS server, which is the IP address, then it makes a request to that IP address, which is just received. So that is the IP address of YouTube. So our client computer makes a request to the server computer of YouTube. Now in server, it does some computations and all, and gets some data from database. So it makes a request to the database, and database sends the data back to the server. This is majorly done by APIs, and when the server gets the data from database, then it do some computations, whatever is needed, and then again sends back that data in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to the client computer. So what have we seen? Client computer makes a request to the DNS server, and DNS server gives the IP address of the website back to the client computer, and client computer makes a request to that IP address, which is youtube.com in our case, and that youtube.com takes some data from database and sends us the three files, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The response can also contain some other things like some media, which includes text, videos, images, fonts, and many more. All this is fetched from the server to the client side, and now in the client side, your browser displays that website in the form which you see. So that is how a website works. So in this example, the client computer is the front end, which is displaying the three files, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the backend in this example is the database and the server. So now let's get started with the actual tutorial. So for getting started, we need to create an HTML file. So for creating HTML file, you can use any text editor, even Notepad, but writing code on Notepad is very difficult and inconvenient. So we are going to download an IDE, which is Integrated Development Environment. That is nothing but an application which helps us to write code more efficiently and also test our code and other things. So let's download an IDE. The most popular IDE is VS Code or Visual Studio Code. So let us type Visual Studio Code download to download that. Now click on this first link, code.visualstudio.com. And now over here you can download the Visual Studio Code according to your operating system. For Windows, you can download from here. So after downloading, it has very basic setup. You can just set it up and open that. This is Visual Studio Code interface. Inside here, we'll download two extensions. So click on this tab, extensions, and in here type prettier. So this prettier, the first link, this is the extension which we are going to download. This is a code formatter so that the code looks pretty. I've already installed, so I'm not going to install it again. Now after prettier, the other extension is live server. So this, the first one by Ritvik Day. So this live server extension will help us to run our code directly when we edit. We need not reload our HTML document again and again. So now download these two extensions. So now let's create a new HTML file. So I'm going to name it as index.html. You can name it anything you want. I've named it index.html as that is the most common name developers use. Now inside Visual Studio Code, what you can do is type this exclamation mark and hit enter. Now this boilerplate code will be generated by VS Code. So this is the basic code which is necessary for all HTML documents to be displayed. So the first line of this document says that doc type HTML, which says this document type is HTML. This just tells the browser that this document is HTML document. Now the next tag is HTML, inside which we have head and body. So we'll see that a bit later. First, let us understand what is a opening tag and what is a closing tag. So most of the tags in HTML are not self-closing or needs opening tag and a closing tag. So this is an opening tag and this is a closing tag. Inside that we define some content. For example, inside this head tag, head, this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, and inside that we have some data. So this content in which is inside head is not displayed directly in the browser web page, but this defines something like the title of the web page which we see and some other attributes as well. And the next part is body. This contains all that HTML part which is displayed directly in the browser page. So whatever we write inside here will be displayed. For example, if I type this is this is HTML document. So I've typed this, and if I save and open this in Chrome, so what I'm gonna do is right click over here and reveal in file explorer and open it up. See, I'm able to see this. This is an HTML document. Now, what we are going to do is, for example, if I change something over here, if I change this document, if I remove document and view it over here, that will not be removed because we need to reload it. After we reload, that is shown. What if I do is open with live server. So right click, open with live server. So this will open up with live server, which we just downloaded. Now, whatever I make change over here will be automatically reloaded. So for example, if I type document again and save it, as you can see, this is loaded automatically. I need not reload it again. So tool is very handy while development. All right. Now let us explore the tags which are defined inside head. So there are some meta tags which define something about the website. These meta tags help the SEO of the website. SEO is search engine optimization. So, for example, you search something on Google and that displays something in order. So, for example, if I type HTML, it shows the websites in order. This is the W3 schools website. The next is Wikipedia. The next is HTML.com and so on. So these ranks are decided on some basis. So what happens is Google sends some crawler or bot inside each and every website and checks something. So there are various things in SEO. We are not going to discuss anything about SEO in this, but some basic things. So meta tags help Google and other search engines to optimize our website and understand what our content is and rank accordingly. So this is a very important thing for every web developer. So the first meta tag displays the character set as UTF-8. The second is specifically for Internet Explorer. The third meta tags discusses about the viewport of the web page. The width of the web page will be equal to the device width, and the initial scale or initial zoom level will be 1. So that's it. The next tag is title tag. So this title tag will define the title of the web page. For example, you see over here, this document is the title. If I change over here as HTML, 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 and save it. Now if I go over here, see, the title is changed, it is HTML. You can type anything over here so that it will display as the title of your document. Alright, now that's it for head. Inside head, we can also define some CSS and JavaScript imports, but we are not going to see that right now. We'll see that later. Now comes the body. Inside body, as we saw, we can type anything and that is displayed. And as you can see, these tags and this content is not directly visible over here. Whatever we type inside body is visible. So we are going to see some tags. So the first tag is paragraph tag. So for that, type a less than sign, then P and a greater than sign. Now VS Code auto completes it and completes the opening and closing tag of P or paragraph tag. So this is how we write paragraph tag. Inside that we can type anything like this is paragraph. And if we save it and see over here, as we can see, this is paragraph is appearing over here. Now, for a better view, we are going to snap our windows like that. Okay. Now we can directly see our changes from here to here. Now, after this paragraph tag, we have some headings. So there are 6 types of headings: heading 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So let us type that quickly. H1, H1, and we have H2. Now VS Code has again very handy tool. We can press Alt and click anywhere to have multi cursors. As you can see, we have 2 cursors now. If I delete once, that 2 will be deleted from both of the ends. I can type 3, and now another tool is we can press Ctrl plus D to duplicate this line in the bottom bottom line. So over here again, by pressing Ctrl D, it appears H3 and S3. We are going to click backspace 4. So this is how we write code in VS Code very efficiently. Now again, Ctrl D, 5 and 6. So these are 6 headings which we have in HTML: heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. So these are ranked on the basis of the importance or the thing which we want to emphasize. So for example, the main heading of our web page or what our web page is all about. For example, if I have written a blog about HTML, so this HTML should contain HTML blog or something like that. So this should define everything that a web page is. And for good search engine optimization or SEO, you need to use only one H1 tag, but you can use multiple, but that will confuse the bot or the crawler, which will look up into our web page that what is our web page all about. As it is going to see 2 head H1 tags, then it will confuse like what is this web page all about. So we are going to use H1 only once. And heading 2 is, for example, in HTML blog, I have 2 subheadings. So we are going to use H2. So for example, I'm going to type anything, H2. So we'll have a subheading. And for example, in site subheading, we have another subheading or another another heading. We are going to use H3. And the similar way, we are going to use all the heading tags. H1 is to be used only once for good search engine optimization, and all the other tags can be used multiple times. That doesn't matter. So let us type heading 1 over here and heading 2, heading 3, and heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. So now I've typed all the 6 headings, and as you can see, the size also decreases. Now the most common mistake which every new developer makes is he or she uses the H1, H2, or these 6 tags on the basis of their size they want. For example, they want a very small text or heading, they're going to use H6. But that is not the case. We need to use according to our importance or the emphasis we want to give, as we discussed earlier. So we are not going to use the size, We can always set the size of this from CSS, which we are going to see later, but we are not going to use on the basis of the size it appears. These styling is automatically generated by HTML, which is the default styling for each and every tag. That is why they appear in this size. Okay, so that's it for heading tag. Now the next tag comes in as anchor tag or the link. For example, if you want to give a link to another web page or give a link to your web page only, we use anchor tag. So for displaying anchor tag, we are going to write A, and that's it. So anchor tag contains the link which we want to add in and the text. So for example, if I type click here and if I save, as you can see, I got this click here. Sorry, I got this click here over here. And if I click, nothing happens because we haven't defined any URL. So if we want to define any URL, what we need to do is define an HTML attribute. So what are attributes? Attributes are like this character set, this name, or whatever we want to give extra to our tag. So for defining any attribute, what we do is in the opening tag, before this greater than symbol, we type the attribute. So in this link, the attribute name is href or href. So that is the reference or the link which we want to mention. So we are going to type href is equals to and the link. So inside link, let us type https://google.com. So for example, we want to add a link to google.com. We can do like this. And now, as you can see, the color is changed and it has a underline over here. So this is the basic styling for every link in HTML. Again, we can change the style from CSS, but we are not going to see that right now. So now if I click on this, see google.com is open in the same tab. So this is how we can add links. Now another thing is, see, as you saw that when we clicked on that, the google.com page was open in the same tab. Now what if you want to open that in the new tab and do not remove the focus from our main web page? For example, you are writing a blog and you added a link, then your web page will be lost by the user. So that's why it is a good practice to open the links in a new tab. So for that, we have another HTML attribute. So that is target. So we're going to type target and the target will be underscore blank. So this is how we define the links which open the link in the new tab. Target is equals to underscore blank will define that. Now if we click on this, see our web page is still there and this google.com is open. So that is how we can open links in next tab. So now for example, you want to add another link. So I press Ctrl plus D and this line is copied. Now if I save, see two links appear but in the same line. So there are mainly there are two types of elements, inline element and block elements. So inline elements are the elements which doesn't have a break after them. So this link tag doesn't have a break after that. That is why whatever we define after this will appear just next to it. And the block elements are those elements which have line break before them and after them. Like this heading tag is a block element. If we define something after this h1 tag, it appears in the bottom line after a line break. So that is what is a block element and inline element. Now for example, I want the two links after, like, not in the same line but in different lines. So we have br tag or line break tag. So we define it like we open it like br like that, and this is a self-closing tag. Now what is a self-closing tag? That is basically a simple tag, but it doesn't require any closing tag which contains any slash, because the tags which require opening and closing tags have some content between that, but line break doesn't have any content. What will we define anything inside a line break? So that is why there's no closing tag. It is a self-closing tag, and Chrome, the browser will automatically understand that this tag is closed over here only. So we define this line break, and if I now save, as you can see, the links appear in two different lines, and there's a line break between. We can also define them between anything, like in H2, after heading, I want to introduce a line break. Then we can type br, and as you can see, after heading, the two appears in the bottom line, not just after that. So this is the br tag. I'm going to remove that. Okay. Now the next thing is HTML lists. So there are two types of lists in HTML: ordered list and unordered list. So what is an ordered list? That have items like every list, and the items have a bullet with numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, or even Roman numerals, and all of those. So that is an ordered list that defines an order. But unordered list doesn't have any specific order or number, that have some bullet points, for example a dot or an arrow or something like that, that doesn't define any number or any alphabet. So now let us define an ordered list. For that, simply type OL, that is short form of for ordered list. Now inside list, inside ordered list, we are going to type an list item, so that will be li, or list item. We'll type li, and we got a list item. Now inside here we can define anything which we want to show in the first item of the list. So I'm going to type list item 1, item 1. Now if I save, as you can see, it shows 1 and then list item 1. Now in the same way, if I press Ctrl D, it will paste that in the bottom line, and we can define list item 2. Now to list item 2, and likewise we can define multiple list items like so: 3, 4, 5, and 6. See, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each is ordered list. Each is ordered in a particular way. Now we are going to see unordered list. So for that, we are going to type ul for unordered list. So for ul, we can again define list items inside that. So li, and inside li, we are going to define list item 1 again, list item 1, and likewise we are going to define some more: list item 2, list item 3, list item 4, and 5. See, in the unordered list, we have bullet points, not any numbers or alphabets. So this is unordered list and this is ordered list. Now, for example, you want to show alphabets over here, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for that, we can give an attribute to this ordered list, which is type. So we're going to define the type of this unordered list, type of this ordered list as ABC. So we are going to type capital A. Now it shows A, B, C, D, E, F in capital as we type capital. Now, for example, if I want small, then we can say small a, then A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, for example, you want to show Roman numerals, then you can type I, capital I, then it will show Roman numerals. So likewise, you can see more by just typing on Google like ordered list types, ordered list types, and you'll see every type like this. So now that's it for ordered list and unordered list. Now let's move on. Now in a similar way, we have type for unordered list as well. Now if we type in unordered list, like square, SQUAR, square, then as you can see, these bullet points are square. Now if I type disk, so this will be normal bullet points disk, and if I type circle, that will be circle, like that. Likewise, we have some more types, but I'm going to show this much only. Likewise, you can display different types of unordered list and ordered list. So now in the next step, what we can do is we can show both the lists in between, like we can show a list inside a list. So for that, we are going to type another list item, and inside this list item, we can define a new list. So let us define ordered list, sorry, OL, and Inside OL, we are going to again define list item, li, and something. So as you can see, inside this list, unordered list, we have an ordered list, and we can again have multiple items inside that. And after this ordered list inside an unordered list, we can again define some more list items. So for that, we can type li again and another thing, and we can say now, as you can see, we have this after the list inside a list. So likewise, you can define anything inside a list item, any image also, and any link also. So now let's move on to image. So for defining any image inside your web page, what you need to type is img, which is short for image. And image is again self-closing tag. So for that, we are just going to type this no closing tag. As inside image, we have nothing, no content, but we are just going to define the URL of our image. So for that, we are going to type src is equals to. Now inside src or source, we are going to type the URL of the image we want to show. So for that, let us search for an image. I'm going to type image and get any image. Open this one and right click, copy image address and close it. Now inside this src, I'm going to define that and hit save. Now as you can see, I got this image. Now this image width and height can be obviously controlled by CSS, but we have an attribute for height and width in HTML also. So for defining that, we can define the width and height. So width is equals to, and for example, I want to show 1000 px, and now if I save, see the width is 1000 px, that is out of the viewport, that is why we need to scroll. So we can do this, and also we can define height of it. So for height, we have height is equals to 100 px, for example. See, our image is distorted like that because we have manually set the width and height, and its ratio is now not maintained. So we can control this with CSS, and for that we are going to see later. But now let's move on. Now let us revert back the changes for the image width and height, and yeah, small image works. So now we are going to move on to table in HTML. To show our data in an organized manner, we use tables. So inside HTML, to define a table, we have an HTML tag which is simply table, and inside table we have two parts, table heading and table body. Table heading defines the particular column. For example, first column will be the name, second column will be the corresponding gender, and so on we can use. So that is the table heading, and table body is the main content which table shows. So let us type t head for table heading, and inside table head t head we have tr for table row, and inside tr we are going to type th, which is table heading. So first inside table we have the heading t head, and inside that we have a tr for table row, the heading row, and that row will contain some data which is th or table heading. Inside th we are going to type name for the first one, and the next column will be gender, and so you can type more, but I'm just going to use two. Now after th or after table heading, we're going to define table body. So for that we have t body. Inside t body we can define tr for table row, and inside the first row we have td for table data. This is the normal data, and th is for the heading data. So inside td we are going to simply type name as Atharv and gender as male, and this is the first row complete. Now if we move on to another row, that we can have someone, and let us keep it male only. So now inside table body, we have two rows, and in the first row, we have two table data, Atharv male, and the second table row have two table data, someone male. Now, as you can see, our table is defined over here. Um, as you can see, the name Athar, gender male, name someone, gender male. You can define more data in like that inside T body, and that's it for the basic structure for table. Now we have some attributes for table. So the first one is border. So inside table, we are going to define border is equals to let us say 1. See, now our border is defined inside our table. Now again, this border can be adjusted from CSS, and this can look more beautiful with CSS. But inside HTML, we have some attributes, so I'm explaining that over here. Now one more attribute can be BG color, so we can use that as well. BG color is equals to for example, we want red, so we are going to type red. See, now the background color is red. Now there are multiple attributes for table, but all of them are depreciated. We should not use them. We should control all the styling with CSS, not with HTML. So we have defined the basic structure for this table. Now the styling can be used with CSS. So another important HTML element is form. So form can be used in multiple ways. For example, contact form or in an e-commerce website, and we have different uses from form. So for defining form in HTML, we have simple HTML element which is form, and remove this action. Action is the attribute for form which we are going to discuss later. Now inside form we can have multiple things, but majorly there are two things: inputs and labels. So first we are going to see inputs. So inputs can be of various types. For example, if I type input and hit enter, the default type is text for any input. So what is this type? Type is an attribute for input, and this defines what type of input is it. What type of data is it going to take in from the user? So this is defined by type attribute, and as you can see, input is self-closing tag, because inside input we need not define any data. User need to add in some data inside input, so that is why it is self-closing tag. And we have multiple types of input. You can simply search regarding that, input HTML you can type, and this W3 schools website is nice for that. You can scroll down and see there are various types of inputs. Majorly there are 3 to 4 types. One is text, one is number, and number, and another one can be date. Sorry, another type can be date. And yeah, you can have multiple things. You can check it from here. You can also have file, email, and other things. So these are all types of input, and we can define their type by typing the attribute which is type. And now we can see we got these. Inside the input type text, we can enter any ASCII character, be it any alphabet or any number or even any symbol like that. So this accepts all ASCII characters. And inside number type is equals to number, we can only enter numbers. And see, no text can be added. E is added because E has some meaning in mathematics. It has some value in mathematics. That is why E is entered. So we can not type any other alphabet, but only numbers. And this date, we can select any date which we want, and that will be selected. So this is how inputs work. Now we can have some attributes for them. So the most important attribute is placeholder. Placeholder. So what this placeholder defines is the placeholder text for that input. So for text, let us type enter your name. Enter your name. So we can define anything inside placeholder to tell the user what to type. So this is the placeholder text. Placeholder is nothing but a text which is entered inside input before the user enters anything. Like user has not entered anything, but as soon as they type something, that is gone. So that is the placeholder text. Now for number also we can type placeholder and enter your age or something like that. So we can have multiple inputs and multiple placeholders for each. So this is how we define placeholder. And another thing for form which we discussed was labels. So for defining a label, we are going to type label, but before that, let us clean our UI as it is appearing in single line, because inputs are again simple inline elements. That is why. So you're going to type br for introducing a line break, and again we are going to add this after this input as well. Now all the inputs appear in different lines. And to add labels, what we do is simply type label and define an attribute which is for. Inside for, we need to type something. For, let us type name. Sorry. Now this label for is actually important for JavaScript perspective, and for the perspective if you want to take in data and move it somewhere or do something. So that is why we define for. To define that this label is for a specific input. So we type for is equals to name. Now let us give a name to in this input. So we are going to type name. This name is going to be name, because this name and this name is same. We can type anything over here and paste it right here. So now HTML document and JavaScript knows this label is for this element, this input. So that is why we have for and name inside them. And inside label we can define anything. For example, name, and we got this label for this this input. Now likewise we can have different labels for different inputs. We're going to define a label for this number input as well. Label for age, and we are going to define the name as age over here as well, and we're going to type age as well. See, now JavaScript knows this label is for this input of name age. So that is why we use for and name inside label and input. So that's it for labels and inputs. Now inside form we have a major element which is submit button. So that is important because user enters the data and now where to submit. That's why we have an input of type submit. This input of type submit is a button. Let me introduce a line break as well. Yeah. So this submit is a button, but it is actually an input of type submit. Now if user presses that, see, this website is reloaded because it adds this thing over here. As you can see, the name is added over here. Why is it added? Because the default action of form is get. Now what is get and all of those requests? Inside form we have another attribute which is action, and inside action what we define is what will our form do when it is submitted. Inside action we can have the type of HTTP request we want to make. For example, if I want to make post request, then we are gonna type post, and likewise we can have different things. I know you are not understanding this post and what I type over here. So this is basically a type of HTTP request, and in the journey of becoming a web developer, you will easily understand what is this post and get afterwards. But this is not at all necessary right now. That's why I'm gonna remove it, and that's it. So that's it for form. Now let us move on. So one of those element is div. So div is very handy HTML element. So this is a divide. This stands for divide. So this divides the web page in different segments. For example, in the first segment you want to type something, in the next segment you want to display something, and like that. We have div, and likewise we have section if you want to divide your web page in different sections, and another can be aside. So this is again another HTML element. All these form, div, section, aside, all these are semantic HTML tags. So now what is that? You can search semantic HTML tags. We're gonna get a simple image. Yeah, as you can see, here is this image. Now semantic HTML helps us to understand code. So for example, you have a header and you use simple text over there. No one can understand that by reading your code. That is why we have some semantic HTML elements. We have header, nav, section, article, aside, footer, and this is what the location should be. But you can have any location for them. But the location should be like that for all these semantic HTML tags. Now this also enhances the search engine optimization of your website, because the bot which will crawl your website or take a look in your website will understand easily like which element is what and what it is displaying. That is why semantic HTML is very important for SEO perspective. So these are some tags for semantic HTML. We can have more tags, but we are just I just wanted to tell you there are some tags like that. So now we are going to see some HTML entities. So what are HTML entities? They are some special characters which we want to embed inside our HTML document. So for example, if I want to type inside P, for example, the paragraph tag in HTML is, now I want to type the paragraph tag. So if I type P and like that, I want to type something inside the HTML document that the paragraph tag in HTML is this tag. But now if I save and go over here, see, I do not get this less than P and greater than that symbol, because this document, this part, this P is understand as the starting tag of paragraph. That is why we have some HTML entities. So for that we have so for defining any HTML entity, we have a format. For that, we need to type ampersand or and symbol and then a colon. Now between these, we need to type a number or the code for specific HTML entity. Now you can Google some HTML entities. So type HTML entities, and this link. Now scroll down. See, there are some useful HTML entities given over here. So for a less than symbol, we have LT as the entity name. So we are going to type LT over here. And after that, we are going to type P and then again ampersand colon. And between this, we are going to type GT for greater than. Now if I save and visit our HTML document, see, I got this. This less than P and greater than appears over here, and this is the HTML entity which we used. So this is how HTML entities are used. You can take a look on other entities as well. So there are a lot of entities. There is a full list. Yeah, this one. So this is a full list of HTML entities. You can see there are more than 1,000 of these entities, and actually you won't use any of them. Only 10 of these are useful, others are not at all used. But if you want to use some more, you can have a look over here. I'm going to close this. Now for example, I type this and the person who is reading this code, I want to tell him something and type this is how we use HTML entities. Sorry, entities. Now if I want to tell the person who is reading this code that this is how we use HTML entities, and now if I save, see, our web page also shows this exact same text, but I don't want that. I want this to be visible only to the one who is reading the code. So for that we have comments in HTML. So what is a comment? It is the line of code which is not displayed in the web browser, but it is only displayed in the code. So comment in the starting we need to type this, and in the ending we need to type this. Now this is a comment. You can press Control plus /, and in Visual Studio Code this will automatically be done. So this is the shortcut for adding a comment. This is only visible in the code, Visual Studio Code, not in the web page. See, we are just seeing this line, not this. So this is how we use HTML comments. Thanks for watching this video. In this video, we covered HTML part and very basic overview of CSS. But just by watching these videos, you'll never get to learn any web development stuff. You need to make some projects, make some examples, then only you'll get to learn. So I'll also upload some exercises on in some of my videos so that you can practice them and learn web development thoroughly. Also, please comment if you like this video and if you want to see more of this kind of videos. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.